Good evening. Welcome to the Dugout. It's the end of the week, and I have a feeling that this probably could be our last Dugout in a while where we talk anything but the IPL. I mean, that's the feeling that I get because we're not too far away from India Ka Tehwar, which starts, as you know, on the 28th. Today being 13th. 14, 15 will be weekend, so I'm guessing 16th onwards would be a good time to start talking IPL, unless of course there is going to be some breaking news or some massive development in Indian or international cricket. If that doesn't happen, then you know the focus is going to be on the IPL. Probably from Monday onwards, our dugouts could focus on teams per se. But since we are in the season of franchise league, subject today also revolves around franchise league, that is of course the 100 that is going to be taking place in UK. It has been on for some time, but what's really changed is now slowly and gradually more and more Indian owners have acquired teams in the 100. 4 Indian owners in that sense, and all 4 of them happen to be IPL owners as well. So just as you've seen in the rest of the world where franchise cricket is an extension of the IPL, whether it's the Caribbean League or whether it's the South African League or the league in UAE, everywhere you see there are IPL teams that have franchises there. So it's become a year-long sort of engagement for those teams, because year-long that they're playing T20 cricket. That is why a lot of people that work with these franchises, if you're wondering what do they do for the rest of the year, well, they have other leagues to play for the rest of the year, and now 100's been added to that, and there are, as I said, 4 franchises. But the news that's got our attention is not in terms of analyzing those teams or what the balance is looking like, because that's something that we seldom do, never for a South African T20 or Big Bash or Pakistan Super League or ILT 20 or now the 100. We don't look at it. The big headline that came was from the auction where Abrar Ahmed, the mystery spinner from Pakistan, he was picked by the Sunrisers Leeds. So Sunrisers, Sunrisers Hyderabad, the same franchise, now owns a team of Leeds, and so they picked up that. There were in fact 2 Pakistani players that got sold. One was the
Usman Tariq.
He went to another franchise. Why that's not caught a lot of attention of people is because he went to a franchise which is not owned by IPL team. So as we stand, apparently the latest development is, I don't know whether you've done a video on that, but I think the social media account or something has been...
It's now back, by the way. It's now back.
That so was what happened in the morning. If you can just explain.
So basically what happens is, see, when it comes to X accounts or social media accounts in general, it'll always be suspended temporarily for 2 reasons. One is if people feel that it's been hacked or compromised in some way. What I think happened here is that a lot of people would have shadow reported it. So what happens with mass reportages is that the algos will pick it up and they'll say, okay, there's probably something up with this account, so let's just temporarily suspend it. And this was all you could see at one point in time if you tried to search for Sunrisers Leeds. It's now back. I remember checking on X and the account is back online. But yeah, for a few hours from this morning till quite a while, this is all you could say is that the account was suspended.
Exactly the kind of episode, of course, very different reasons then. A few weeks back when Virat Kohli's account was briefly not there and suddenly it came back again. The same happened with his brother's account as well. Wasn't there. Everyone was wondering. You got a similar message, I think, and that would then tell you in what instances the account is suspended or the account cannot be viewed. But within 24 hours, that account was back live.
Yeah, and that's what happened with Sunrisers Leeds as well. Their account came back online. You can actually see their posts now, although the fact is that it got suspended and there's been a lot of outrage. Even now, there are trends on social media saying shame on Sunrisers and boycott IPL, boycott SRH. It's doing the rounds. So this is something that, and bear in mind that this purchase in the auction happened nearly 24 hours back. And it's still something that people are talking about, with the notable exception being that it's not been spoken about in a positive light in a lot of places. People are not happy, to put it politely.
I think much of the talk about Sunrisers Leeds is about banning them, fining them. People have been asking for all sorts of action. The BCCI, that's the latest you guys should know about as well. In terms
What
of
is
the-
BCCI's stance on it?
So the Vice President Rajiv Shukla was asked. He's easy to catch hold of, as we know. He's omnipresent.
Everywhere.
So yeah, he
No,
was-
but he's a voice of BCCI, so whatever he says will be taken as the official statement of the BCCI.
yeah. So he was asked
Whether it's easy to catch or not is a different thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Just that. So I just slipped in like that.
Ha.
But yeah, so
It's good for us, na? That is a good thing.
absolutely
That,
very welcome. Wish
More people were as
this
accessible.
morning things had turned out exactly this way also. But anyhow, they didn't. But this is what he said. He said that our domain is limited to the Indian Premier League. How can we intervene with them signing a player in a foreign league? It's purely up to the franchise.
Okay, so we're going to discuss different parts of this and let's break it down one by one. So let's start with, because two things you've already touched upon. Let's start with the trolling. Do you agree, disagree with that?
Very silly, the trolling, because again you're viewing everything in cricket as an extension of that, oh, this is an India thing and this is a Pakistan thing. I'm sorry, I understand banning Pakistani players from the Indian Premier League makes perfect sense. We cannot possibly be outraging at what sort of decisions are taken by a league governed by another cricketing board. The England and Wales Cricket Board is well within their rights to tell Pakistani players that yes, you can sign up for the auction, which they did. And if teams pick them, then I'm sure they would be picking them using some form of cricketing logic. That's the key part. This is not a player they're going out of their way to try and sign just to spite people. They realize that, listen, we need a wrist spinner. So if we needed some sort of a spinner, we would be looking to target anyone who is available and who would be a reasonable purchase in that sense. And Abrar fits the bill. In fact, this is what Dan Vittori, who also happens to coach Sunrisers Leeds, had to say on this. He said that our main focus was Adil Rashid. He was our priority early on, and then we jumped into the overseas spinners auction, where we tried to sign someone, because obviously with Adil Rashid gone, they wouldn't have had a domestic wrist spinner. So he said, we looked to find someone else. And he said that we were very pleased we got Abrar. No hesitation in saying that. So for me, this is purely cricketing. It's nothing to do with India as a whole, which is the narrative that is being shaped on social media. I don't really agree with any of the outrage. I mean, truth be told, I didn't agree much with the outrage with the Mustafizur thing. Would have said the same if Mustafizur was bought by CSK, DC or any other of the 9 teams. And I don't agree with this either.
Yeah, neither am I,
By the way, sorry, just on the Mustafizur thing, because you brought that upon. I'll get back to this. And this is a thought that came to my mind. So we actually now, when you look at the whole Mustafizur thing, now you're beginning to look a bit silly. I'll tell you why. Because at that time, I understand the decision was taken because of the attack on minorities.
Correct.
Hindus were being killed. So in solidarity, you said no. A country that is in a way encouraging this to happen, we've got to take some action against it. See, at that time, I was a bit split on the issue. One, because yes, attacks on a minority is a serious thing and that should have been looked at. And nowadays, I think the lines between politics and sports is blurred. So now to say keep sports and politics aside is not happening anywhere in the world.
FIFA World
look at
Cup
it,
too.
yeah. So it's happening. So I don't really see that as the Indian government should have kept it away. It's not possible. But the thing is, I don't know whether you could pin the blame down on Mustafizur or Bangladesh cricket and say it was happening. But the thing is that what I heard from Bangladesh was that there are some radical elements who are doing it and they don't want that to happen, right? So the thing is, that's a bigger debate. Can an act of radical elements then be used as something to punish the rest of the population of that country? So in other walks of life as well, whether it's industry, trade. So should we stop doing trade with Bangladesh because there is a section of fanatics that they have who are attacking? And same with sport. That's the other thing. But why I'm saying it's started looking a bit silly now. Now Bangladesh is in a bit of a trouble where they don't have diesel, right? So India has extended a hand of friendship.
Correct.
And that's again geopolitics, where you offering them a lot of diesel to get out of the crisis. I agree, in humanitarian crisis situation, you're supposed to help each other out, and India has seen that larger picture in helping them out. But my point is, if we were so against the country for allowing attacks on minority, whereby we decided that okay, even a player that is from that country not be signed and he be removed, fine, you took that stance. Then I don't think you should have any sort of humanitarian outlook in this case that let's help them out by giving them diesel. Then you should be, no, sorry, we do not agree with the kind of politics, unless you might say the government has changed and that government was responsible. But even for that, I have a counter, because it's not that the regime that took over, under that only this was happening. Even before that, the regime that was there, the attack on minorities was happening. Even when Hasina was there, and we allowed her refuge here. And even under her governance, there used to be attack on minorities. So I'm saying we're mixing the two things. Either you make a full call that, listen, Bangladesh, attack a minority. This is a country that we have to be stern with. If you take that stance, then no giving of diesel or whatever till such time those things can be taken care of. Otherwise, if you're okay to help them out, then I think one player who's Mustafizur, who has nothing to do with any of this, then maybe you could have had a more compassionate way of looking at a cricketer and allowing him to play. And of course, continue to criticize Bangladesh for human rights violation. That I think should have continued, whereas you could have allowed. Anyway, that was my thing on that. Getting back to
the trolling.
The issue at hand, which is Abrar.
Yeah, to me as well, much like what Shane said, this doesn't sound the work of intellectual, I would say. This makes little sense to me. There is very little intellectual genesis to this whole trolling that I see over here. This is typical troll behavior, short-sighted, myopic, illogical also, I would say. Just lacks any merit. And if you start looking at everything like this, then you will not be able to move forward. Again, you need to decide what you want out of this whole Pakistan equation or not. This is, again, I'm looking at it as only pure, from a commercial standpoint or from a competition standpoint. If I'm there in the auction, if I'm trying to fight against commercial outfits over there, and there's a whole bidding process, limited talent, I want to put together the best team. I'm looking at the players and what they bring to the table, and I'm not filtering them basis nationality. Simple as that. My outlook has to be, even if I'm an investor, if I am a business conglomerate sitting on the table over there as a conglomerate, my prerogative is to go set up a team over there so that it's a good money making exercise for me. If I'm going to filter out players basis their nationality and harming my own cause, this is going to make very limited business sense. So as business people over there, they had every right to go ahead and go with people, even if they were from Pakistan. Because does the government ban anything like that? Absolutely not. Has the government said that it's forbidden? No. In fact, I was just doing some research. Has the government really stopped doing business with Pakistan? Even right now, you're doing $10 billion of business with Pakistan through third-party countries. There's a Dubai, there's a Singapore, be it textiles, be it technology, be it handicrafts, there's be it chemicals. There's 12 billion USD of business, which is down from a bigger number that was there in previous years. But that business as of 2025 May, June was still happening. So all of these things are happening through third party. Yes, direct, you've put the treaty in abeyance.
No, but the money is going to Pakistan.
Yeah, right? Exactly. So the money is going to Pakistan, be through another channel altogether. You've not taken that stance that, listen, we've got this intolerance towards any Pakistani element, and there cannot be any engagement or any sort of money that goes from our pocket to there, not from the government, not from any private or retail entity can it happen, or commercial entity for that matter. Nothing like that has been put in place. So what's wrong with that?
There's another thing which I thought was worth touching upon, is that apparently the ECB had a word with all of the franchise owners prior to the auction, saying, listen guys, if you actually are ignoring or are found ignoring a player basis their nationality only, you are in danger of breaking UK's anti-discrimination laws. So what they were doing is not just sort of a thing whereby a shadow ban, so you can technically try and get away with it, but if someone tries to find out and then it comes to light that yes, you were deliberately avoiding these players because they were of a certain nationality, they'd actually be going against the laws of the land where the tournament is happening. It made therefore little to no sense for them to do it. If they felt that there was a player that they wanted to pursue, so be it.
So, okay, just on that, I have a different view to the view that you both have had and the valid points that both of them make. And I'll tell you why I have a different view. Let me start with something that you talk about, England having come up with these rules, right? My point is, England firstly needed this money coming in from Indian shores, and I'll tell you why. I did a session where the CEO of 100 had come, and I moderated that session. It happened in the capital here, where they were very proud of the fact that they have been able to raise so much money from 100, and the people who are running the commercial interest of hundreds were complimented for the fact that they could dip into Indian cricket money and bring them to the English shores. 100 has been around for a few seasons, right? And it did not take off the way they thought it will. There was a money crunch there. So what did 100 realize? What did England realize? That we need India's money to sustain the 100, right? So you are the ones who actually went approaching. And then there was some interest, and Indian teams have come. It includes the Delhi franchise as well, that have a share in a county too now, and with an extension now also owners of a 100 franchise. So now firstly you've gone there, right? So how can then you be dictating on someone? And even if you dictate, can you risk dictating that? Can England risk losing that money, which they now celebrate as a master stroke in getting? That's the first thing. Secondly, I don't think England has a leg to stand on when it's coming to discrimination and so on and so forth, because they did not allow Russian players to play in the Wimbledon. When Russia was attacking Ukraine, they took a political decision of not allowing Russian players to come play Wimbledon. I know one of the top players in Medvedev had even criticized the Russian government, where he said that no, what Russia is doing is wrong. Yeah. It was his personal opinion, and yet he was told, because he comes from Russia, or if you're Belarusian, you cannot play. Some of them were allowed if they played under a neutral flag. They could not play. So again, because that narrative suited England, because for them Russia was the enemy, because they were attacking Ukraine, so Russia becomes the enemy. So from their point of view, it is okay to chuck out a Russian player in sport, but it is not okay for India to not bid. So I think that's double standards. They cannot have that. Otherwise, if they were, I mean, I would agree that in a utopian world, it should not happen. In that case, then England should have given a free hand to the Wimbledon organizers as well and said, listen, yes, while politically we are against Russia and this and that, this is still a private tournament that happens. You're free to take a call as to what you want. They did not do that. So they allow politics to be mixed with sports. So they have no leg to stand on when it comes to here. On the subject of what you guys spoke of, whether SRH should not have it or not, there are arguments in favor of SRH, but there are also arguments against it. So now that I'll give you the argument against it, and if people are trolling, you understand why. And I'll also tell you, I'm also not very happy with Sunrisers getting him, because you have to also see the player that is in question. If you had gotten an Usman Tariq, it would still have been fine, because he has been very reserved in his personal capacity to talk about India. Abrar is the same guy who put that post out of fantastic tea, and he's put it out on his personal social media handle. So he's taken a dig at India previously. And again, I don't blame him for that. There were Indian cricketers also, in a sense, former cricketers who took dig at Pakistan. That was a war situation. You all stand up for your own countries and you put it out. But my point is, if that is the road that Abrar took, and he went down that road, then as an Indian franchise, I have the right to skip. I know it may hurt my cricketing interest, but I will have to go with some other option than this. At the end of the day, you are an Indian franchise, right? Majority of the money, the group that owns, that's the Sun Group that make their money, comes from Indian shores. So they have to be very cognizant of the fact of where the money comes from and what they have to do. So if they skip this and took another player, and that also takes me back to what Rajiv Shukla said. Rajiv Shukla said that it's an IPL and we cannot tell what is happening. I'd like to remind that in 2009, IPL did not pass any clear-cut instruction to the teams, but they were quietly, secretively told not to bid for Pakistani players. So if my point is, at the end of the day, these franchises may be playing outside, but they are the same teams that own Indian franchises. I'm sure if the BCCI did want that, they could have conveyed what they would like to see. And that happens, that again is lobbying that happens at international level it is done by, I mean, we are in a day and age where Trump is quite openly threatening countries. If they're dictating countries like India to say don't buy oil from Russia, we will. That's a direct threat. What I'm saying in this case, it won't even be a direct threat. So if you want your interest to be safeguarded, if BCCI, by the way, I don't agree with it. If BCCI had thought of this and quietly sent the message across that this should not be done or you should not be picking players, I'm sure they wouldn't have picked up players. And in that sense, I think BCCI should have been far more proactive. It should be, because at the end of the day, BCCI is also relying on money that comes out of India. So those are things that I don't agree with, and that's why I don't believe in trolling. I'm not saying, but I'm talking about criticism. If there is criticism that comes the way of Sunrisers Hyderabad, I don't blame it. I was also not very happy to see that name come. Now, to the cricketing merit, okay, I agree that this was a business decision, and that's the only thing that I would say in favor of Sunrisers, and not so much the player. I'm not looking at the cricketing decision that you saw. I see that as a business decision, and I know why they've gone for a Pakistani player. You remember, Punjab went for a Gale because of he was past his prime, but they said he brings with him a brand value. So if I pay 1.5 crore, he may not give me any performance, but he will with that bring enough brand value to my franchise, which will get eyeball sponsors, whatever. That was a marketing decision. We all actually hail that. In that sense, I agree with Sunrisers. See the marketing. I've been to England, I've been to Leeds. Leeds has one of the highest Pakistani origin population. They have about 300,000 people of Pakistani origin that are there. So I agree. Now, if you want to go local, this is a local franchise. You want to have a connect with that. And how do you develop a fan base? You do it, and teams do it. It's a complete commercial exercise that they've gone with, which is why I said that I would have been okay if they'd gone for an Usman Tariq rather than an Abrar. Yes, maybe cricketing wise, I think Abrar's a better spinner than Usman Tariq, because he's still coming up. Abrar's been a pro performer. You look at it, but then again, you have to be mindful of things that are there. The only thing I will say in favor of Sunrisers is, and this I think for everyone who's been upset like myself about them buying, I want you to think of it from the point of view also, because you know people say money, that you're paying Pakistani players, he's going to get, I don't know how the amount of money that he's getting,
190,000 US. So yeah,
2.34 Indian, so it's that 7-8 crore Pakistani rupees. He'll never make that kind of money playing even multiple seasons of ISL. Now people will say, PSL. So people will say that this money you're pumping back into the Pakistani economy. To those people, while that is a valid point, I would just want you to remember two things. One, I'm not going to spend too much time because Harshit's already spoken that money is already going into the Pakistani economy even via trade through third party. So I want you to be all aware, and that's the thing we do in Dugout. We discuss things threadbare. There's no hiding, there are no screen, and we want to show a mirror to everyone, whether they are franchises, whether it's the government, whether it's the BCCI, whether it's even fans. The other way that the money went to Pakistan was also what ICC did recently at the T20 World Cup.
correct.
Why did the ICC, what did we say when Pakistan were not playing? Don't play with Pakistan. If they don't want to play, don't play with Pakistan. But why did the ICC bend over backwards and play with the ICC? Because I understand. They also had to look at their commercial interest. And I understand that contracts have already been signed. And when you are in ICC, whether you are from India or wherever, you have to have the interest of the ICC. And as soon as those contracts go haywire, the whole structure will come crumbling down of the ICC, right? But the thing is, doesn't the money from there then, whatever, multiple $1 million per year, which is 5% of ICC revenue, or about 6% of ICC revenue goes to Pakistan? Correct. That's much greater than the kind of money that will go from here. Wouldn't that money that now goes into Pakistan be used in purchasing arms and things like that, then which are used? So my thing is, now if I am Sunrisers, I will say that for international's cricket greater good, you are happy giving that much money to Pakistan, because that money comes back into the ICC coffers, and when you're bothered about ICC coffers, you're looking at it and supplying Pakistan with that kind of money. That is okay. But if we were to give 7-8 crore to a player to fit our franchise, why are you coming back at me? And to that I will agree with Sunrisers Leeds, that in that they have a point, that money is anyway going, you give multiple amounts of money through the ICC route. Why did no one put an end to that? Why was the T20 World Cup not boycotted? Why was that India-Pakistan match not boycotted? And if that was not, then what they have done is just a minor thing in comparison.
Just to put the numbers in perspective, 80% approximately of ICC revenue is generated by India.
Yes.
Right? That means for every $1 million that is generated, 800,000 is generated from Indian money. And from those millions, whatever it is, you are also sending, or from the billions that are generated, you are giving millions of dollars to Pakistan. So it's fair to say that a lot of money that is generated from India is therefore finding its way directly back to Pakistan. You were okay looking at the bigger picture then. You were totally okay looking at the bigger picture during the Asia Cup. A time where all of us even were split saying, listen, why do you even need to play? Asia Cup. I mean, I'm sorry. I understand if the ACC was some sort of a relevant body, but we could have done without playing that Asia Cup. I don't think Indian cricket would have been hit, but Pakistan cricket had a lot to benefit. I know they got hammered, walloped, thrashed, banged 3 times, but they made a lot of money from those 3 matches. Let's be fair. Money that India didn't need. So where was national pride then?
Money everyone needs. Money is never enough. That's what I'm trying to say. Because, we used to keep saying, okay, the loss India will have less compared to, but nobody wants to.
No one wants to incur that loss.
Nobody wants to incur the loss. Again, Shane makes a very valid point. Asia Cup was very much avoidable. It wasn't going to see you get sanctioned. It wasn't going to see you undergo any sort of, future implications that, okay, such and such sanctions could come your way. So you lose out on points, or you lose out on a berth in the next ICC tournament. None of that is going to happen. You yourself are the fulcrum of the ACC. The ACC may not have a future the day that you decide to cause problems to it deliberately, or just withdraw and leave it for it as an organization to survive on its own. These guys will not be able to survive with so many associates and knowing how terrible at times cricket in Pakistan is, and because that's the other big cricketing nation that you have on the panel over there. So money matters. Nobody wants to leave a penny on the table. That's what we've seen. Be it the Asia Cup, be it the Champions Trophy earlier, or be it the World Cup at the moment as well. Pakistan, for all the drama that they did, they agreed to play it, right? Because they also had that interest, while they would have told their population that, listen.
No, actually, they were quite okay to let go of the money. They were on the brink. They knew fully well.
Yeah.
That if it goes, it goes. I think they had reached that level. They, in fact, were almost, they were ready to bear that loss. They only changed because, they changed because, they had to show the world, we're bargaining for Bangladesh, and you stood, and then Bangladesh has got one tournament. Yeah, can you believe that?
From doing nothing. They got an ICC tournament from boycotting a tournament. Yeah. That's like me deciding to boycott an exam, and instead of failing me as the examiners would, they tell me, no, come please sit our exam, we'll give you like 30 grace marks. Agreed. It don't work like that. No, but I mean, life isn't fair.
Yeah, agreed.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens again. So much of this is interlinked to what happened with Mustafizur, and when I look back at things, I think all of it is just down to that particular instance, and things could really have been different had the BCCI been more cognizant, and had the BCCI been more proactive in knowing what was happening. Again, those atrocities were nothing new. Again, they were happening from an earlier point as well, and nothing had happened. But again, had you just taken a calculated decision and tried to avoid the situation, you could have avoided all of this. But now we're just entangled in this whole thing so much that it seems very difficult to come out of it.
Okay, there's news coming in. Well, let's dive into the question as well. The news is that because today we spoke about Mustafizur, and this will make Shane very happy. News coming in. He's got there's a blessing.
And not that kind of blessing, before any of you guys start thinking.
Blessing Musrabani is the replacement for Mustafizur. KKR have gotten one. I think it's quite a good replacement. I think he was very good at the T20 World Cup. And in fact, at that time I was wondering, if you remember, we discussed that had the IPL auction happened after the T20 World Cup,
He would have
Musrani would have
attracted
gotten.
bids.
He would have attracted massive bids.
Yeah.
So now to get him for, I think his base price was, I think, what would have been 1 crore or 2 at most. You've gotten him for base price now. Ooh, still. Very good.
Yeah.
That's a good
But this
buy.
also, by the way, has some connection with the PSL now, because what this means is that he will not be fulfilling his contract at the PSL and he'll be playing in the IPL.
There you go.
Yeah, he'll be getting more money exposure, everything here. So
Yeah, so in that sense, you're hurting Pakistan in multiple ways. So when Abrar plays, I don't think it just changes anything. Okay.
In fact, he's already pulled out of PSL, as I see.
of course he would have to.
He has.
Yeah, the money difference is so much.
Yeah.
Can I be honest? If 100 clashed with PSL, Abrar would have pulled out of PSL. Because imagine the amount of money that he's getting there.
He's getting
He
8
would have pulled
crores.
out.
He's getting 8 PKR, boss. Sorry, you wouldn't be getting
So
that much
if
even in
100 and
PSL.
PSL are clashing, Abrar would have said, no, I'm not playing PSL.
And he would have probably paid for the fine he got from skipping the PSL from his 100 earnings. We're like, please go for it.
He would have. Okay. Pushpavati says, Nick, why Indian team is getting hate and displeased because Gigi and Surya won the ICC trophy? That is the main reason for so-called fans and Surya winning the ICC trophy as captain. Fans can't take that. Well, to answer your question, that there is, I mean, I agree, and I'd be lying that I do see a lot of, not hate, but
Dislike.
dislike towards the captain and the coach. I don't know for what reason that is. It could be personal, or is it because of the press conferences or the personality? I don't know. I personally have I share a good relationship with both of them, as I do with a few other players as well. And I've known both of them personally, great guys, both of them. So I think sometimes they're misunderstood as well, because I think I've seen them outside of cameras as well, and in interactions outside of that. So both of them, I think, good guy. But I think it's not just down to that. I guess a lot of people also, that's what I said, hating is because I was talking to someone also associated with cricket a short while ago, and I had a similar feeling from him, a former player, and he also wasn't making too much of the World Cup. And I said, primarily why? Because, this World Cup, from the start to the end, you had a hiccup against South Africa and few things to discuss, but I think nobody really could imagine India not lifting this World Cup. I think that you had reached that stage, and because you had won the title earlier and you won the Champions Trophy in the middle and the Asia Cup going undefeated and winning this with that one blip, almost like undefeated. So I guess dominance also with it brings a bit of boredom. So I guess that is what has happened. But that's what has caused.
While there is the talk of dominance, etc., but let's not be forgotten that for good 4-5 days you thought that the tournament for you was under a cloud. You needed that favor from South Africa against
No, it
the
was,
West
but
Indies.
public memory is
but
short.
you thought that the tournament could be getting over by
I agree.
Friday.
Public memory is so
Public
short.
Memory is short.
But it's so short because we've forgotten 11 years of not winning a trophy.
That's what I say. That's why I want to tell everyone, go back to those.
Please
11 years.
enjoy
They were
this
painful.
dominance, yeah?
Yeah, it was painful.
That was bad times. खड़ा हूँ आज भी वही indeed.
Also, this was not the kind of tournament you thought it would be for India. Let's be happy. The final was a one-sided final, and that's not the kind of final you want to watch. That's one thing, okay? Because the final, you expect a competition there to be a good, because you expect the two best teams of the tournament to be going head-to-head with each other. You expect at least the 19th over of the second innings also to be involved, where there are things, there's really a battle over there for who gets to the trophy first. You didn't see that, that's fine. But otherwise, that the tournament wasn't straightforward. You had to recalibrate as a team. You weren't scoring those big runs. You needed single performances. You weren't getting holistic performances as you were seeing from the Indian team in bilaterals. You were getting one match winner in every match. So this
You
was
had to change your 11
up and down
on
you had to
multiple occasions.
Yeah, that's what I meant when I said recalibrated. Yeah. So
no,
many
it was, but that's what I'm saying. That's public memory is short. Now you won it.
But there seems to
but
be
I
something
also don't
against,
want. But I don't want anyone to, cloud your personal likes and dislikes in not celebrating something that India has won. Right? You may not like X or Y. But the fact is, there's no point being GTU, Great Obitango. I didn't like them, so now they've won also. But you have to give credit. They walked the talk. They said those things. It's happened. credit where credit is due. Yeah.
Rejoice.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to praise the captain and the coach if they've done it. So it's
Exactly.
as simple as that.
AJ says, I think they didn't do anything wrong. We can play in the Asia Cup because of broadcasters and every other sport is being played. This is selective outrage.
Yeah, exactly. Something that we touched upon. Absolutely.
Pushpavati once again following up says, because so-called third-class fans can't take it that GG and Sky won an ICC trophy and because certain fans wanted Iyer to become the captain in T20s.
Oh, but again,
I don't think that last bit has too much to do with hate. I mean, I don't think
There
he's...
is, I think.
No. He's not that much of a figure to...
He's not Kohli Rohit.
He's not,
to
but I
push a
think, you know
complete
what-
narrative. Yes, while that fact may be there. But in fact, I'll say, like if Sanju had not played throughout the campaign and it may have been, then I can agree because he does have that kind of fan following and that can change a narrative per se. But I don't think a year not playing, while it was a decision that needed to be debated, it doesn't change the
a ripple.
narrative.
It was a ripple.
It sort of, was an eye-opener for me as well a few weeks back when I heard not one but a few of my people around my age, and some of them have been in the journalism domain as well. They are not anymore, but the chatter around, and I categorize them as not just friends, they're fans as well, cricket fans, the cricket consumers, and they are privy to the stuff that he's talked, the ages who Pushpavati is talking about in the comments over there. It is there about the whole Iyer dynamic and how maybe there were a few people
Iyer
who
came
didn't
up
want,
when
etc.,
when you lost. He just came briefly there, but I don't think at the moment he's such a dominating figure that changes your narrative.
Yeah.
I agree that Gambhir and Sky and the thoughts people have about that could have influence. And maybe your dominance, these are major factors. But let's say a Yashasvi or a Iyer and these things, while they were discussed, because when you're not doing well, then you remember everyone.
Yeah.
But they're not polarizing as such at the moment.
Correct. AJ is back, says that people had no problem with Indian franchises were picking Pakistan players in the IL T20. These things are done to distract people from the main issues.
Yeah. But did any Indian franchise have a
No,
Pakistani
but
player?
you have had even outside. Like I remember, I know for a fact that Trinbago Knight Riders had for the longest time signed Ali Khan. In fact, Ali Khan.
No, but Ali Khan's American.
He's American. He's a Pakistani origin.
No, but that way the Moeen Ali also plays here, no? So that's not count. See,
but his US origin is like
Azhar
from
Mahmood
Netrawalkar.
could come here again because that's a different thing. I think it's people who still hold that nationality. That is the problem.
But again, it's not just that. Mohammad Amir, whilst having a Pakistani passport, has played for Trinbago Knight Riders.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a fair thing. But I'm saying Ali Khan, and in that sense, there are many.
The likes of Usman Tariq and all have also played. So again,
it's like then saying that if you're again, if I was to take your thought forward. Indian players shook hands with UAE team and so on and so forth.
99%. Same with US.
Yes, but they are not representing Pakistan. That's the thing.
Must also point out there was so much that was made out of handshakes, etc. I don't want to name the player because it's one of the biggest poster boys in Indian cricket at the moment, and again it's going to either call for a lot of colourful language in the comments, but we saw there were Pakistani commentators as well in the ICC T20 World Cup, and he as one of the prominent faces wasn't just meeting. There was a lot of handshakes and hugs, etc. And don't you think all of that was happening while the tournament was on between Indian and Pakistani commentators? And again, because it's a celebrated cricketer, I will not take the name. But
everyone knows.
But again, you've got on all these lifestyle shows, talk shows, etc. that cricketers and their wives have started these days. Now all of these things that are happening in social media. You had one of the cricketers' wife herself say that all these guys are friends amongst themselves behind the camera. So let's not behave as if we don't know what's happening. Likewise.
No, I thought that handshake thing again, as I'm saying, the handshake thing, I've said, it does not change anything. It either don't play. If you're playing, you can just do a customary handshake. That doesn't mean that you're making best friends with them. See, cricketers are also humans, and they can be affected with what's happening. If there's a terror attack, if there is a war, even Indian cricketers, if they're affected and they don't want to be best friends with Pakistani cricketer, I completely understand that, and that's fine. But I think a customary handshake doesn't change things. When if you're shaking hands with someone that you've played with, it's just a matter of game is done, you're shaking. Doesn't mean I'm your best friend.
Exactly.
So don't become best friends. Just do it because it's customary. That's it.
Wonder at where we are. I think both cricket.
No, you
and
do
this
it
side.
like
because see,
you
let's
fight
be
with a
honest,
player.
The handshake did happen. It's only after the flag that came that things suddenly changed. So we cannot be, selectively remembering things as well. Till that point, there was like for the atrocities, but I would say atrocities were happening before as well. Just that you did not see them becoming an impediment for your tournament.
Election also wasn't there, na, that time. Bengal elections made a huge.
So, but handshake had also happened. Till that time, there was no such hypersensitivity toward it, or nobody was talking about it that much. But then came in all the patriotism. That it became almost sort of, there was anti-Pakistan vitriol, etc. that had taken over. Whether it was right or wrong is another thing altogether.
Yeah, that was a dire month, I remember.
Yeah, but again, you've seen both sides.
Ashish Dhar says only day-night Ranji match Delhi versus Mumbai at Gwalior. Okay.
No, he's talking about, yes, there was a day and night match that happened.
Yes.
That was Delhi-Mumbai. It was a final that was played, and it was a packed house. I forget the year. It was played at the forget the name of the stadium.
Brabant, was it?
In Gwalior.
In
Gwalior, not Brabant.
I think Roop Singh or something like that. I forget the name of the stadium. I've covered games there. I've covered a ODI match, and that hosted and it was a packed house. People came to watch. It was day and night.
Wasn't it named after Scindia's?
No. I think it's a Roop Singh Stadium, I think so. I forget.
Maybe somebody in the comments can tell us.
Please.
No, Pawan would have told us by now what is the name of the Gwalior Stadium. He's on it.
Amit Cool says, correction, India gave diesel to Bangladesh due to an annual pact which has been signed earlier and not due to the current shortage.
But even then,
but
you could have suspended
pact,
it.
You have
there was
signed treaties and all also, no? You paused all those treaties, water treaties.
But you didn't pause this.
So
But you outraged over KKR.
you also signed a contract with Mustafizur. He signed a contract, before
And then
going
you
into the auction.
invoked force majeure.
Exactly.
The only winner from all of this is Blessing Musrawani.
Let's see how big a blessing that turns out to be.
Why so serial? Asks if investors set the rules, then can the Saudis set rules in the EPL? Valid point. They can't, by the way. And mostly it's not the investors who set the rules.
Yeah.
There we go. Roop
I
Singh
told
Stadium.
you. Roop Singh only I said, no? That's the one.
AJ once again says, Harshad, be ready for 11th April CSK DC. DC will be thrashed, smashed and will never get up after this loss. Be ready for Kada aaj bhi bhai. Yeah, the trash talk's already starting. I like this.
I must say, you made CSK Delhi sound like CSK Mumbai. I think that there's actually a genuine rivalry over there. The whole thrashing and bashing you're talking about, I think you should save that for Mumbai. You're competing with them. I don't even count Delhi to be getting, be in the same league like that. Yeah. You should have all this enthusiasm when you're taking 5-time champions versus 5-time champions. But okay, let's see how the match plays out anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amit Cool once again says, few things should be above business. Look at his social media and his behavior and what he thinks about India. So this should be considered. He would be laughing thinking he's going to get money from the Indians to play cricket.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's why I said sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture, and that I think Sunrisers should have been mindful of that. I understand the business sense, and I did talk about those things. I know the factors that they're looking at, but it could have been avoided.
Naval Singh says, Nick sir, this is negative PR. It was a conscious and strategic decision to buy a Pakistani player. Hasaranga went unsold. He's a better spinner and batter.
That's a very good point by now.
Yeah, but Hasaranga has been
in today's day, sometime when you need to be in the news, you do. It's a good point.
Yeah, but it's a big gamble, I would say. As well.
By the way, Naval, I hope you're fine. He's one of our regular viewers. He's coming from West Asia.
War hit zones.
From the UAE. So I hope you're safe and you're doing good, huh?
Also, one thing I'll say, Hasaranga right now being the better spinner is very debatable. His form has been really bad for a while.
No,
and his fitness
that
has
you
fallen
can
off a
debate.
cliff.
Plus, he gets injured all the time now.
Because his fitness is off a cliff.
Then
That's why he gets injured all the
He'll
time.
play that one match, score you runs, pick some wickets, take a blinder as well. if he's
Lanka
in the
Premier
mood.
League.
He'll take a blinder
But
as well.
as a package, I'd go with Hasaranga over because of his batting, bowling.
Of course, but he's also.
But I agree this. I'm also worried with him. He'll last 2 matches.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was Abrar's only, na? That one-handed catch.
The
that he
blinder,
took.
yeah, because that was the match where Abrar.
Yeah, Abrar had given him the send-off. Yeah.
And then after that, he was doing this.
Yeah.
Hasaranga.
Both did each
Yeah, both did each other's celebrations. In fact, Hasaranga did it twice. Once after the catch and once after he got a clean bowled. Did it twice.
Yeah.
Sharan Nanda says, why do Virat fans believe that everything around cricket revolves around Kohli? Every word uttered by Gambhir is linked to him. Never seen a more insecure fan base, always seeking validation.
Again, I'm not going to pass any comments on any. By the way, I've said it's got no reflection on any player. Toxic fan bases, and there are for many players now, and it's kind of spreading everywhere. You say anything about their favorite player, and you have to just see. I mean, like
Vitriolic.
yeah, exactly. Like I mean, such thin
It's inviting
skin.
trouble.
Such thin skin. I can't believe it. I don't think the players also then get affected as much as their fan bases. That's one. 2, you're right. Not everything that Gautam Gambhir says is directed at Virat
But
Kohli.
it's
So you have to
viewed
realize
as-
that. Few times it has been.
A few times I understand
Yeah.
also. But every time, yeah, come on. Come on. Let's be fair.
Yeah, but that's why I sometimes wonder why does. But I think maybe that's his nature. Sometimes Gautam just avoid those things.
Yeah,
not
the
getting
thing with
to
him also
That's
is
it.
he's
but he can't
harped
stop
on the same
himself.
thing again and again. He first said that in Australia, then he said it a couple of other times as well. Right now as well, he's won the tournament. He's again talking about
He said it in every
personal
interview.
milestones and all.
Every
The
interview.
only thing I miss Siddharth in this conversation, he would have given such good perspective on this one. But you actually cannot. You have to try very hard to not look at it. Even as journalists, let's be honest, the way that the time that you first read those comments and the way certain things were said, you were thinking as to why he is doing this.
Ashish Dar says, Abrar पेट पे लात क्यों मार रहे हो?
अबरार के पेट पे ही.
And AJ points out that Usman Tariq was part of Abu Dhabi Knight Riders. Could be, but I think in recent seasons, maybe after the first 2, there's been a conscious effort from Indian owners in the ILT20 to not buy Pakistan players. In fact, that was the joke last year. No, Desert Vipers, who by the way featured Usman Tariq, won the title. They were the only team to target Pakistani players in the auction.
Yeah.
Rest all of the teams just didn't, and all of the other teams are Indian owned.
Yeah.
Not necessarily IPL owned, Indian owned.
Right.
Vishal says, we are too emotional. A Pak player in a UK league isn't IPL. If Bangladesh players face bans over religion, same logic should apply to Afghanistan over women's cricket. Arey,
Oh,
what an example. I love it. Technically, Afghanistan do run afoul of even ICC regulations by not having a women's team.
Yeah.
Technically.
you've not taken any decision on that.
Yeah.
The global cricketing community has been quiet.
True.
Let's see.
Good point.
Cobra Head says, don't pretend to be half-cooked geopolitical experts. Ouch. Bet these SRH guys would pay big money for Pak players in IPL if it wasn't for the government ban. But how do we know that?
But just on that as well, is Cobra Head a geopolitical expert? So should we listen to his half-baked opinion
Exactly.
Pinch of salt.
with a pinch of salt? Okay.
Pinch of salt.
Harshit
Bags
says
of them
that.
also.
Pinch of salt.
Yeah. But and he seems to be a
But he's still giving us a.
owner of a crystal ball also. He knows that if they were in the IPL, they would
The
have bought.
Kavya Maranol would be going out of their
He has
way to,
superpower, this Cobra Head.
to be bidding for Usman Tariq.
He's
Tariq pe
still
Tariq.
Giving us his time, yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And money.
He must have a lot of
I
time.
don't know whose wisdom is undercooked there.
Yeah. I mean, the advice to Cobra Head would be then to utilize his time and money at better places. He must have a lot of money because he can see the future also.
Yeah, he can make a lot of money.
He would have invested.
He would have pulled out, yeah, Ravi though.
He
Right
would
now.
know, na?
Yeah.
Would have gone with gold.
He would have gone.
Orlando.
What a bad few weeks.
Ooh, good luck getting that name.
Kirubakaran Ramchand. Jeez, no, I give up.
Kirubakaran Ramachandran.
That's probably it.
There you go. From the UK.
Reason for the hatred is because of the political alignment of Gautam Gambhir with a particular party and visiting the temple after a win. I don't agree on this, but yet listen, I'm sorry, literally no one is doing that. I don't think that is the reason. The main reason I think GG is getting a little bit of hate is because a lot of people were hoping he'd lose this tournament and get the sack.
That is one point, but I think his political, because he was part of one political party, he gets, because it'll happen. That's why it's always risky to enter politics, because you see there will be some people that will join you as supporters of that party. There will be those that do not like that party and its philosophy, and they will stop liking you.
But my point,
one wise cricketer once told me, very well known famous cricketer, I had asked him once about politics, and he said, why should I do that? Because I have a fan base that runs across political ideologies. Why should I alienate anyone from my fan base by joining a political party?
Correct.
But then this is exactly what I was just about to say about, fan bases and to fans. Gautam Gambhir technically didn't even finish his full period, even before.
That doesn't matter.
I'm just saying that was, but I'll still round it off to 5 years that he served as an MP.
Yeah.
From East Delhi, where I stay. But anyway, my point being that that's only 5 years. How many years did he give to Indian cricket? Why you only attached to them 5 years?
You make a valid point. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong.
So even if you were divided
like
for those 5 years, I'm saying, yes, he had said that, the Ghazipur landfill will be gone.
No, I'm not even getting into...
I'm just saying the promises, whether they were delivered, not delivered.
Doesn't matter.
What ideology you backed, what elections you won.
People don't forget.
But you
right.
need to. You need to separate...
they need to do many things.
Correct.
That's not happening now.
If you're talking about you need to separate the politics from the sport, then welcome back to our topic.
Exactly.
But again, we'll keep moving in these circles otherwise, and then you're not giving the man his due for the cricketer he has been for Indian
but nobody can see things in isolation. It'll come back.
I saw people trolling Kirti Azad for some of the comments he made, and I'm sorry, this is the same Kirti Azad.
World Cup winner, but again, people will forget that. It's about his comments now as a political leader.
Exactly. And you have to remember he is representing a political party. So people will view it from that lens now.
He's represented multiple political parties.
Neither here nor there.
But my point is, it's like one side of the divide, no?
Yeah, correct.
That's it.
I like Dhanush. He says that SRH disrespected their IPL winning captain and now their country. Poor Devi Warner catching strays for no reason. Naval Singh says, Nixa, I'm fine. Hopefully one day I host the ST team. That'll be a dream.
Naval. Nice to know that you're fine.
John Isaac says that best solution to handshake, India do adab, Pak do namaste. People won't know whether to be happy or offended.
Good one.
Good one. I like that somebody found some humor in this.
I mean, there's a lot of humor to be found in it. Yeah. In all fairness.
He found humor in everything since we started.
Yeah. Today was not a heated discussion that much. Serious one.
Very serious.
Cobra is back. He has a lot of time and money to listen to half-baked political experts.
He says that he extrapolated based on all your rationale quite
what kind of language is this, by the way?
Y'all. No, it's very Gen Z online social media language.
So
very
it's a
common.
young kid basically.
Could just be someone wanting to look cool. I sometimes say y'all. I'm 32. Doesn't matter.
I'm a bit old school, maybe.
Sai Srivastav says there are so many private Indian companies in foreign countries and they hire every nationality even though they oppose India. IPL is also a private league. Why are we pointing at this then? It's a shame we humans can't coexist with different opinions.
It's also a valid... No, but I mean, to the larger thing, what Sai says, I agree. But in the current...
in the current
day and
system,
age, it's not possible to... Again, utopian world, right? That's how it should be. There should be a world with no conflicts, ideally. And at the end of the day, I always say that irrespective of countries or color or region, I think we're all bound by one thing, that we're the same species. We're the same species, exactly the same. We're all distant cousins. Everyone that's alive is of the same species. In fact, I mean, it's not even that you're. I read somewhere that's very interesting. Like, it's not even that horse and zebra, which actually come from the same family, and then you call them cousins, but they are different species still. Correct. They look alike, but humans are exactly the same species. They're all horses. It's just that
we've created these divides.
Yeah, the horses are from different regions, just as you have a Kathiawar horse, which is here, or the Arabian horses, which are, but they're exactly the same DNA, right? So humans are exactly that. They're not even as different. So that should be something that should bind all of us together. But then that's, as I said,
utopian.
Correct.
Ideal world. Love this comment from Aditya Kavlekar. He says that now Abrar is removed from the 100. We'll see Bangladesh threaten to boycott India World Cup game and park out of the World Cup and getting promised 2 ICC hosting events. Haven't we learned yet from previous mistakes? He makes a good point.
Good point. Anshu Mishra says, Nikhil sir, I text all of you on social media. Outstanding coverage throughout the World Cup, and by far we enjoyed each and every moment. Kudos to Sports Today team, and 7th March was my birthday. Please wish Anshu. So sorry to have missed out on your birthday, but very happy belated birthday. And wow, man, effectively we were celebrating your birthday because the World Cup was on. Yeah. So and just hours within your birthday, we lifted the trophy as well. So what better gift? But thank you so much for your kind words and support. Yeah.
His birthday is very easy for me to remember.
Why is that?
It's my wife's birthday, same day.
There you go. So you will always remember Anshu Mishra.
Veer Shah says criticism is one thing, but name calling is something I don't get. Also, not to forget, in the CPL, Caribbean Premier League, Mohammad Amir and Usman Tariq were playing for Trinbago Knight Riders a month after the war. So this is not new. I don't get all the fuss.
True.
Actually, the fuss got kicked about. One of the reasons was there was that talk of there being some sort of an unwritten rule or a shadow ban. Yeah. Because of that, it grabbed a lot of attention. Yeah. But otherwise, Caribbean Premier League also.
You've seen everything carry on, yaar. Yeah. It's only cricket that was dealt
in
with
the
differently.
Midst of Operation Sindoor, you were playing beach volleyball.
Beach volleyball, exactly.
Because you couldn't afford the fine.
Yeah, you had tennis take place, you had volleyball take place, you had
hockey in India.
Hockey take place, yeah.
SAF Cup, Pakistan have travelled to India. Yeah. Oh, by the way, SAF Cup this year later on is going to be a trip. It's being hosted by Bangladesh.
Bangladesh has set to host India also, na, for an ODI
series. ODI and T20 series. Yeah, correct.
Then
correct. Sarat Chandra Yalamarthi has a question for you. He says, Nikhil, when we lost versus South Africa, we all and you said that there's no transition in the test team and they're all experienced. But yesterday you said the team is in transition on a Sports Talk show. So are we in transition or not?
Sorry, come again. Except when we lost, we all and you said there's no transition in the test team. No, in fact, Sarat Chandra, I actually said that there is a transition. I got criticized for saying that. Why are you saying transition? So many guys are playing. And then I actually explained myself by saying that yes, some of them have played cricket, but you have to be mindful of the fact you've got a young captain. And there are a good 4-5 team members of the team that are, a lot of members. In fact, I explained that were on the first tour to England. They may have played test matches before that. So that is what I even at that time said that there is transition. I got, as I said, criticized for that. But I don't 100% believe in that. Okay then, on that note, we'll take your leave. Anything? Words on Muzrabani? Happy?
I'm happy. We finally have a replacement for one. I just hope we don't have to send another pacer replacement. And Patirana got injured in the middle of the World Cup, remember? That's also something that I don't know yet because he didn't play, I think, the last match or so. So I really hope that that's not the case because otherwise we'll need another blessing.
Oh.
Exactly. Otherwise, pleased with the signing. Overall, good addition.
Yeah.
Hey, wasn't he part of RCB last year?
I think he was.
Or the year prior?
Yeah, he was.
Muzrabani was there.
Yeah, he was. Correct. Yeah, he was. You're right.
Last, I think. Not last.
Yeah. But I remember him being there.
Yeah.
Hazelwood, is he coming?
Hazel God is touch and go. Touch and go from what I'm hearing. Touch and go. maybe not. And we hailed
That'll
them for
be a
signing.
big miss if he
We
doesn't.
hailed them for signing Jacob Duffy, but then Duffy's also been getting carted around left, right, and center. So
But
they need
again,
Hazelgod.
But Jacob Duffy, you won't. I don't think is a game changer as a guy.
Hazelwood
is.
Hazel got to yaar. They
He
wouldn't
was
have
one
won
of the
last year.
yeah.
They wouldn't have won last
He
year.
was
if it
doing what a
wasn't for him.
Bumrah does for the Indian
And
team.
Exactly.
He was doing for
I think
RCB.
those two guys performed way more than anyone thought.
See, at least with Hazelwood you expected. Ronaldo performed out of his skin in ways that
Yeah.
no one expected.
Outworldly, yaar. Ronaldo was out.
That's right.
Okay, take care. Bye bye. Good night. Nandri, Vadakkam, Shubhra.
Shubhratri, Shabba Khair, eat your vegetables.
Don't trouble your mother and subscribe to Sports Today.